Hello, it's Jimmy again. Welcome to my second wire wrapping tutorial. Today I'm going to do something a little different than my last tutorial. I'm not going to do a full piece. I'm going to show you kind of a structural setup I use that I like a lot. It can be used for quite a few things. It can be used for sizable rings, like multiple sizable rings, bracelet cuffs, chokers. It has a lot of possibilities. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to take some 14 gauge dead soft half round copper wire and I'm going to cut about 8 inches of it. Got some flush cutters here, just cutting off 8 inches. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 8 inches length. For those of you working in metric, 8 inches is approximately 20 centimeters. I do tend to work more in metric actually, but for these purposes, I will be working in American Standard. There. We have 2 pieces at 8 inches long, and I'm going to mark them both right in the middle at 4 inches. Inches. Cool. Now, I'm going to hold them firmly with 2 fingers here. Or if you want to, my fingers are calloused, so it's a lot easier for me to hold, but if you need to use a spring-loaded clamp with some rubber tips to hold it, these are great for holding wires together for you while you're working, so you don't have to hold them yourself if it becomes too much finger strain. But myself, I will be just using my fingers. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the top one here down and the bottom one up. Then I'm going to give it a little squeeze with some parallel action nylon tip pliers. Keep the flat sides flat. And then, holding this firmly, I'm going to hold some pressure on my thumb just at this corner here, right here, and curve the top one back down and use the same way the bottom point of my thumb on the pressure here for the bottom one to come back up, just like that. And I'm going to do it again. And now I'm going to repeat that till I have about 7 going down one side. this point, once you have like 3 or 4 going in a row, it should be holding itself in place at this point. It should look like this. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 little loops going down one side. Then we're just going to flip it over and do the exact same thing to the other side. Going back to our middle point, pulling the ends out opposite directions, and then doing 7 more. Gotta tweak a little bit to get that proper shape. Just work it how you must. It's all nice. Gives this cool little wavy pattern to it. It's just a 2-wire braid. And I really love this setup because there is like so much you can do with it. When you use the half round, say you're using it for a bracelet cuff, the half round's really, the round side's really smooth to just slide on your wrist. And the flat side is good to attach other elements on top to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure it's flat. Keeping a straight shape. And try to pull the ends just straight up at like that. This nice little 2-wire, little wavy braid. Yep. Now what I'm going to do is flip the flat side of our half round facing up. I'm going to take my parallel action pliers right here, and I'm going to pinch them, just leaving like just this little hangout at the end. Just like that. And I'm going to take the bottom one here and just pull it straight up. And then the one that was on top of that one, I'm going to curve back this way and just pull it up like that next to it. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Pinching it just before or just after that last hump, right when they split off. Pulling the bottom one up first and then twisting this one back around, following it upwards. Just like that. Then I'm going to take the last one we just worked with, the second one that like curled around it, and I'm going to just like give it a little bend down and off like this. It's like that. And then twist it around after the first hump. I have one little like loopy bubble bump, and just right at that intersection between that one and that one, right there. Then I'm going to take some chain nose pliers and tighten it onto the frame and snip off just a little bit, just so I can flatten that right onto the flat side, which will be the top part of our little structure here. So we have this like little loop now at the end. I'm going to take this other wire and I'm going to, keeping the flat side in, tracing the other flat side, so flat against flat, just curl it right around it, making a spiral. And do the exact same thing, following that path. And snip it and flatten it tight. Then I'm going to take my nylon parallels and just flatten it. Flatten it straight down like that. And that is one end tied off. Pretty seamless. You don't feel any snags on it, which is nice. And then we do the exact same thing to the other side here now too. Just twisting this wire at the first bump, wrapping it around right at that intersection between the first and the second bump off the ends, and then tightening it down. Then taking the second one, tracing it with the rounded side facing out now, flat on flat, and tracing that exact same motion. A little snip, and flatten it down. Nice and tight. Just go back over with your parallel action pliers. So now we have this like swirly ended structure here, which is really great. You can use multiple pieces of half round for this as I did in this bracelet cuff. The ending just comes off a little different if you use multiple, but it just works so well for so many things. I've used this for sizable rings, and yeah, I really like this setup. You can use all round wires too, though if you want to add other elements on top, I definitely recommend having a flat surface to push them down onto, so I really like the way it works with the half round. And all the tools we used for this really were some nylon tip parallel action pliers, some flush cutters, and some chain nose pliers to get this setup started. For rings, bracelets, you could even add through this little loop here, there's a little loop end on each side that you could fit a O-ring through, or a jump ring. So they could be a choker. You can make it into a type of necklace if you wanted to. There really are endless possibilities, which is really why I love wire wrapping, because there's just so much you can do with it. I've used wire wrapping just around the house, even just to fix things, because once you start seeing the lines or see the wires as lines, it's just like you can draw anything into physical reality. And I love that. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.